So in this clip, we're going to see Donald Trump's former press secretary, I believe his name's Sean Spicer, just make himself look like an absolute donut, tying himself in knots, trying to justify Donald Trump going and asking for an additional $200 billion to try and fight and continue with the war with Iran. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my commentary, and my perspective towards the end. Let's get into it.
Trump's former press secretary, Sean Spicer, and the host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Chris Hahn. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Chris, I'll start with you. So I understand that you argue that even though they're talking about a $200 billion price tag to fund the continuation of the war, you think the president is going to declare victory sometime soon. I can hear you already skeptical about what that could mean, because the pushback that I will have is, and I'm already assuming what you're going to argue, I feel the president wouldn't declare that unless he really does believe there's a victory. There's a reason, it seems to me, that he's been waiting to even say it, because they are degrading Iranian capabilities, military capabilities. I've mentioned it before. They're taking on a lot of Iranian leadership. But you don't believe, you think there's going to be maybe a premature announcement of victory?
Oh, 100%. And I don't think the president has to believe anything to say it, because that's the way he's always acted. I think he's going to do exactly what Bush did. He's going to say victory, and then he's going to say, you know what? We need some Marines to protect the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, and then let's put some more troops over here to shore up this resource. And before you know it, we have 100,000 men and women in uniform in Iran for the next 20 years. $200 billion? That does not sound like a short-term solution to me. It sounds like this man is gearing up. I would first say, what do you do with the $1 trillion we gave you for defense this year already, Mr. President? And why didn't you come to Congress or our allies to try to discuss the pros and cons of going to war? I do not understand how MAGA still supports this man when he has lied to them at every turn. He has not put America first. He told them specifically he would not go to war in Iran. Yet here we are.
Well, I don't have the president to answer you, but I do have Sean Spicer, and we love Sean. So, Sean, I'm going to have you have an opportunity to respond to Chris, but I also want to ask you about this $2 billion price tag, because why ask for so much at this point? I mean, I mentioned before, it's been $20 billion. Why not ask for a smaller amount now, when I mentioned the optics of it, what it could be used to help Americans here at home? So, two questions, your response to Chris, and B, why ask for $200 billion right now?
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with what Chris said. I mean, there's so much to respond to that doesn't make sense, and frankly, it's just out of intellectual bounds. But I'll start with your question, because that at least makes sense.
We'll try with the
he's asking for
response.
$200 billion. He's asking for $200 billion because you don't want to go back to Congress over and over again with your hand out. You want to do it once, get it over with. And the way the military works, and I will take a minute just to explain to Chris how the process works, that during the years of Afghanistan and Iraq, the budget that any department receives is their normal appropriation. What we call OCO funding, Overseas Contingency Operations, fund things not in the budget that go to day-to-day training, go to day-to-day equipment, housing, et cetera, that the military uses and needs on a regular programmatic basis, right? So weapon systems, things that you purchase, et cetera, planning for ships.
Great argument, Sean.
Chris, hold on. Chris, hold on. We're not going to do this thing when you talk over him. We're not going to. I want to get the point.
I mean, look, we don't have enough time to explain how government works to Chris. But the bottom line is the president's going to go to Congress.
Chris, hold on one sec. Sean, I want to go back to you just to put a point on it, because just to respond to what Chris is saying. I hear you. The counter argument would be, when you look at other conflicts, like the war in Libya was $1.1 billion, Kosovo war $5 to $6 billion, $200 billion. Again, people might look at this and say, is Chris right? Is this going to be a 20-year occupation?
So right now, the burn rate is between $3 and $5 billion a day, just in terms of the weapon systems they're using and a lot of the movements that are needed. I think the Department of War is basically trying to do this in one foul swoop. Does it mean that they're going to stay there that long? No. But every military plan that's on the book, the OPO plans, have a length. Short, long, they're basically making the bet that we'd rather go to Congress once, ask for everything that we need, and have extra to give back than to have to go every month and ask for another appropriation. And considering the way the political winds burn, I understand that strategy.
So, Chris, I'll go back to you, and the way I'll counter you with this one is to say, let's say this works out. What do I mean by that? Let's say, and I put up, we have the board that we could put up of Iranian leadership, including the new supreme leader. Let's say they're all taken out. Okay, let's say, for example, you have the people of Iran actually have a participation in their government. They made change. We take one of our key enemies off the map right now. It changes the whole world dynamic. How's that a bad thing?
Not a bad thing. Just hasn't happened in our recent history, has it? Right? I think we're going to have to ignore the last 2 decades. I know you're a lot younger than me, Jesse, but you're not that much younger than me. You remember the war in Iran and Afghanistan. You know how that turned out. So why does Trump think he's going to be able to do it any differently and only do it via using airstrikes? It's ridiculous. The whole concept is ridiculous. He should have gone to Congress and the American people and made his case before he acted, because that's what the founders intended. He did not do it. Now when he goes and asks for this money, he's going to have to show his strategy to Congress, and he does not have one.
So let me
does not have one.
Let me talk about the Americans. Sean, I'll go to you. You haven't given up on the midterms yet. If we're talking about the optics of this, how this is going to play into voting, you haven't given it. You say, despite the warnings today, by the way, from Goldman Sachs, that we're headed for $100 a barrel oil for quite some time to come, that the voter data trend might give you some hope, give Republicans some hope?
Yeah, and also, look, I just want to be blunt about something that the president is considering. When you go back to, we get about 2% of our oil from the Middle East. The rest of it is domestically produced. Part of the reason that we're in this is the president hasn't called for a market cap in terms of production, right? So you've got Asia and Europe buying their oil from us, which is helping to drive up. If he were to lock in domestic oil production here, our prices would drop. There are some other economic consequences that would hail from that. So he's got to be careful.
Okay.
But he does have the ability to do a lot of things domestically. So if we get to a point where we're in late April, May, I know the president's been brought a lot of options that would allow him to take oil prices down, everything from the short term to the medium term to the long term. The bottom line is this. We have pushed all of our chips to one side of the table.
Right.
If the economy is not kicking in July and August, it doesn't matter anyway.
Right.
So they know that. They're well aware of that. We've got the money to fund the campaigns on the ground and on the air. I think that they're very well aware of when the midterms are. And so we will see the appropriate economic measures taken before then.
Chris, I'm going to give you the final word. Democrats hoping for high gas prices? Is that what they're hoping for right now?
No. Nobody wants high gas prices, but the incompetence of this administration knows no bounds. If they put a market cap on oil in the United States, it'll cause a global depression that will hit the United States as well. The Congress is going Democratic. There is nothing that Trump could do at this point to stop that. So is the Senate, and so are several states that we're not even thinking about.
All right. Well, Sean Spicer, Chris Hahn, to be continued. Good to see both of you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, guys.
So, for me, he looks like an absolute donut. I'm just going to be 100% honest and transparent with you guys. It looks like a donut. The sheer cost is so excessive, especially for a war that the majority of Americans don't even believe that the United States should be in. It's just so excessive. It's extraordinarily high, especially on top of the record defense budget that this administration already has. Honestly, it literally overshadows so many of the past wars like Iraq. And what the problem with that is this. Look how Iraq turned out. Donald Trump was the president who ran on the no new wars. But the reality is this also could become a forever war. And if it does become a forever war, if he's given the $200 billion now, well, what happens when that $200 billion runs out? You know, the part where Sean Spicer said, oh, he's doing it now so we can get it all out of the way, just so he doesn't have to keep coming back. That's nonsense. It's nonsense, because if it runs out, he's going to have to come back. The war is already costing the United States between $1 and $2 billion each and every single day. And the reality is this, it's just endless, and it's massively overspending with a war that has no clear limit. And then, remember, the most important thing, what was the strategy and the goal in the beginning? There's been no clear explained objective or end goal from this administration. None. And even with the government's messaging, the rationale for why the war has taken place has been so inconsistent. Once it was a nuclear threat. The next thing it was regime change. The next thing was it was for deterrence purposes. But the reality is this: people are being asked to fund a war that has no clear plan for how or when it ends, and that just makes no sense. My last point, and probably the most important, is, well, what's the opportunity cost? The United States, I believe, I think it's needed something like $40 trillion worth of debt. I could be wrong on that number. Please let me know in the comments. I apologize if I am. But opportunity cost. Why is it? Tupac Shakur said it. They've got money for war, but they can't feed the poor. How is it that they can potentially look at seeking $200 billion from the American people, but they can't fund healthcare, they can't fund education, they can't fund infrastructure, and they also can't fund job creation? Something that this administration is having a disaster when it comes to job creation. The frustration isn't just about the war. It's literally about what Americans are going to have to give up domestically to be able to pay for it, when they are already in a situation and a place where they're just not doing well already. Healthcare, Republicans have failed consistently to do anything on healthcare, but they have so much to say about the healthcare that was in place via Barack Obama. Education, they need to do something about these things. And the thing that this administration definitely needs to work on is job creation. Honestly, absolutely humiliating stuff from Sean Spicer. But as I always say, being a Donald Trump fan is a humiliation ritual. This is what happens. This is what takes place. And they make themselves look stupid because there's no defending this in any way, shape, or form. There's none. Literally, only about a quarter of America support the war. Only about a quarter of Americans. So it's politically controversial anyway because the public isn't behind it. And the cost is enormous. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this clip in the comment section below. Do me a favor, hype the video up, give it a thumbs up, and also hit the subscribe button if you're interested in myself, a Brit's thoughts and commentary on everything to do with American politics. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next clip.